And what we end up doing is portraying or pushing and projecting this feeling of our own inadequacy, and we project it as judgment on others, assuming that because we don't have what they have, they are judging us. Hello. Welcome back to Sarah Refined. My name is Sarah, and this is a channel where I am showing my personal growth, personal development. No, I said that wrong. My personal development. No, I still said that wrong. My self-development, my personal growth, and my financial education. I got it right. If you would like to follow me on Instagram or Pinterest, please feel free to do so. Of course, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. It is much appreciated. So let's get started on this video. Now, I have noticed that a lot of people in my friend group and just in general, they have a timeline for their lives. This timeline starts at 20 and it ends at 30. Why? Why are we giving ourselves only 10 years, 1 decade, to do everything of travel, college, education, marriage, kids? All of it is supposed to be started by 30. And everyone blames it on like, oh, society expects it of you. And no, they don't. You expect it of you. So stop comparing yourself to everyone else, or stop comparing yourself against your own timeline of what you thought you wanted, and just start being present. And that's my rant. It looks like we're getting into this really quickly. So many people think that they have to be like done college by 25, 28, and then you get married because by the time you're still doing college, you've also met somebody that you want to spend your whole life with. And then you guys get married, and by like 32, you kind of have a plan for kids, and then you've already bought a house, and like it just goes on and on. And it's just, when we see other people doing these things, we should be excited for them. But instead, because we aren't living into our own timeline, we start getting upset and jealous of them. And then that is where everything goes downhill. So I was doing some research for this video because it was actually going to be a list of people who didn't quite get their success until they were in their mid to late 30s. That's still a good idea. However, every single list that I came across had the same people. So I'm not going to use those people. You can just Google famous people who became famous in their 30s and you'll get a whole bunch of people like Terry Crews and Vera Wang and Jeff Bezos. However, one thing I noticed and one thing I made a note of is that more men were likely to like have a career change or take a huge risk in their 30s to become who they are now, whereas a lot less women did so. And I think that's because women hold themselves to this timeline stricter than men. Stricter, yeah, I think they use that grammatically correct. I think a lot of women still feel like they need to have the babies, the marriage, and the house sort of thing before a certain age. And it's one thing to want it because you're allowed to want whatever it is you want, but it's a different thing to feel like you're not good enough or you're not like up to par simply because you don't have those things at a certain age. In my opinion, that's not really the status quo anymore. It's still something we want, but it's not like it's expected of you as much. And of course, we still get the grandparents and the aunts and uncles and in-laws asking like, when are the babies coming? Or like, oh, when do you think you're gonna get married? And you're like, hi, Aunt Fran, I'm single, so probably not next week, bye. But I think it's very important to just throw out that timeline and stop comparing yourself to everyone else and to your expectations for yourself. Just be present. Because by living this life, wishing that you had something, or being upset that you're not where you thought you should be by now, you're missing out on everything that's actually going on around you, and you're missing out on everything you do have right now. Story time with Sarah. It's a segment in every video, yeah. When I was 16, I thought for sure I'd be married at 20 with 4 kids by 25. We'd raise them on a farm, and that was my life. I was going to homeschool them, I was going to be a mom, and be done with kids by 26, maybe 28. That would be my life. But then, that didn't happen. And at 20, I thought for sure I'd travel for 3 years, at least. I'd meet someone with the same ideals, we'd have kids along the way, and we'd just be backpacking and writing, and never, ever, ever conforming to the world's ideals of mortgages and retirement funds. But then at 23, I was 2 years into this relationship with this guy that I was pretty sure I was gonna marry. And I had this idea that we would get engaged and married by the time I was 24. We'd have our first kid at 26, be done having 4 kids by 30, and somewhere along the way we would have moved and be living and raising our kids in a new adventurous place. But no, that's not what happened, because he didn't propose until I was 25. No, wait, what? How old was I? I was 25. My life now, I just turned 27, and I have a very different life than I had ever imagined for myself 10 years ago, 4 years ago. I'm so happy it worked out the way it did. I think around the time I was 23, like when I was 2 years into this relationship, it was around the same time that I just realized that if I'd gotten the life I wanted at 16 and stuck to that timeline, I would be so unhappy. So I let go of my mid-20s timeline and I just started being present. I started appreciating people and places and the things that I could right now. I started appreciating who I was and who my husband was, or boyfriend at the time, because I knew that we'd changed so much in the 2 years. I knew I've changed a lot in the last 7 years from that, and I knew that we were going to continue changing. So rather than focusing on these benchmark and check marks that I could reach, just focus on what I have right now and the lessons I'm learning from it. And of course, when I let go of all my expectations and I allowed life to just go, everything started happening for me. In the last 24 months, I have gotten engaged. I traveled to Italy, France, and London, and Manitoba. I got married. I'm going to be going to New York. I got to have my entire family in one room at the same time. And I have never felt so much joy in my life. My husband and I decided to start looking for houses just to kind of get an idea. And 4 months into the process, we found the one that we wanted and we bought it. We've been talking about looking for houses for ages, but it just happens in its perfect timing, because everything has its perfect timing. It's not always convenient, but when you can just let go of the expectation and the outcome and just go with the flow, you not only enjoy life much better, but things that you want start coming to you. More importantly, we get so caught up in what we think we want or need that when the opportunities come by, we don't even recognize them. So no, you're not behind in life. You might want those experiences and life events that other people have. And you might even have expected to be further along in life or somewhere else by this age. It's okay to think about what we wanted or don't have, but be careful with that. Setting out life plans and goals are fine as long as you're able to adapt when things change and when things don't turn out the way that you anticipated or hoped. I have a couple of tips for this. Number 1, practice letting go. The next time that something doesn't line up with your schedule or something doesn't go the way you wanted, your initial reaction might be to get stressed out or get frustrated. But instead, take a deep breath and remind yourself that this is out of your control, and then just let it go. Focus on what is in your control, your emotions, the way you're thinking, what you're doing in that situation at that moment. Being present. All of those things are great for working on letting go of the emotion or the situation that you need to just release. Often we love holding on to stress and frustration because that means that we're frustrated with somebody else. We're stressed about the situation around us. Letting go means we're in control. And as much as we think we love control, it's actually really scary. There's a lot of responsibility that a lot of people aren't quite ready for. So they hold on to those negative emotions and they make it so that somebody else is responsible for their happiness or their success. We end up holding on to those emotions so that we can blame something else, because letting go of whatever it is we want means that we've just now taken back control. Letting go is the only thing within your control, so practice it. And let go of your timeline. My second tip for you is that over the next couple of months, years, well, months and weeks maybe, but it should be adapted over the years. Take some time and write out lists of what it is you actually want. Because so many times we're focused on catching up with everyone else. There's so much variety on what success looks like and what happiness looks like. So with this list, create exactly what it is you want. There's no right answer. Just put down what it is you want in as much description as possible, and you will be shocked at how accurate it can come out to be once you know what it is. Because so many times we don't even know what it is we want. And so how are you supposed to expect these things to come into your life and recognize them when you don't have a detailed list explaining what it is that you're looking for? Do this with your ideal job, your ideal dream house, the lifestyle you want to live, everything. There's not really a place to stop. It's just important that you start. And while you're doing this, it will help you to stop comparing yourself to everyone else, because you'll realize that somebody else might have a house and you thought you should have a house by now. They might have a certain amount of money saved up and you thought maybe you should have that much money saved up. And what we end up doing is portraying or pushing and projecting this feeling of our own inadequacy, and we project it as judgment on others, assuming that because we don't have what they have, they are judging us. The next time you feel judged by somebody, maybe look at yourself and see what you're judging yourself for. Because when you're truly happy and you're truly feeling successful, other people's opinions don't matter. So that's my 2 cents for today. And I'm hoping that something that I have said resonates with you and it makes you feel some clarity. And maybe you can take something from this video and change your perception of yourself. Because I think everybody feel like they're behind in one way or another. So just let go of the timeline, let go of comparing yourself, and let go of judgments you have against yourself and others for not being where you thought you should be. You can't go back and change anything. So just start now. Start right now being present and aware, and start working towards what it is you want, rather than thinking of all the time or all the things that you don't have. That is all I'm going to say on this today. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the boxes below. Follow me on Instagram and Pinterest if you'd like. I will leave those in the description. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So we'll see. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed today's video and if you want more like this. If you're not on YouTube very often and you want email notifications every time I post, just click that little bell notification right beside the subscribe button, and you will get a little email reminder anytime I do post. Other than that, I think that is all. Please give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. Which is not a bad idea, but what is that noise? Make sense? I always ask if you guys make sense, and I shouldn't talk unless it makes sense, right?